Hello, it's Ruby, and I'm starting my MA in English Literature next month, and I'm using September to prepare. So this is what I did on Tuesday and Wednesday last week, but slight twist, there was a heat wave in the UK, and so I was making an effort to wake up earlier. I find it almost impossible to focus in the heat, so this was a way just to maximise my productivity in the morning. Anyway, I hope you enjoy watching. Truly, this was such a great start to the morning and really cleared my mind so that I'd be focused for the rest of the day. This is really important, I think, making sure that your mind is in a good place before you sit down and study, because you won't be able to process the material so well and understand it so well if your mind is cluttered with other things.
I'm perfectly content.
When I got back, of course, the first thing I did was write my to-do list. I'm using the academic planner from Pumpkin Productivity, of course, as per usual. Then I went downstairs to get some breakfast, and I was reading Hamnet at the same time. I just read 50 pages downstairs before getting started with my day. My room was looking very pretty and already starting to heat up, which is why I'm waking up at 5 tomorrow morning instead. I started the morning by doing a piece of academic reading for my A course, which is on the Renaissance subject. In particular, it was on The Island Princess, which is a play by Fletcher, and exploring othering in the play in relation to both race and class. And then I got started with my big task of the day. This was the number one thing I wanted to accomplish today, and I like to do my big tasks at the beginning of the day because I find it more motivating. So I wanted to compile loads of notes on early modern typography, printing, manuscript cultures, and put everything in one place. So here's my B course page, and I've just added in loads of keywords for printing. I'm also going to print these 3 pictures for my everyday notebook because I think they're going to be useful. The angle is terrible. I'm so sorry. Hello, I actually realised I haven't said hello properly yet to camera. It's 10:20 now. I'm quite slow on my tasks this morning. This one's taking me a while. Basically, I'm compiling all of my notes on paleontology and manuscript cultures and manuscript studies into one centralised place so that I can use them on my masters. All of my notes are on Notion and I can search for them, but I just want them to be really easily accessible. As part of that, I'm also adding important things into this notebook so that I can take it in to seminars, because I'm intending on using this for transcription stuff. Also, I always get questions about these notebooks. A viewer actually made and sent me these notebooks, and he has just started an Etsy shop, so if you did want to go and have a look, this is the URL. So I've printed out this, and I'm just going to make a page for each in this notebook. The key thing I want to do before time starts is actually learn the key vocabulary, which is kind of what the intention of this diagram is. If we know the words, then we have the language to talk about something and we can have those conversations. I know that seems like a really obvious thing to say, but language really does affect and impact the thoughts we're able to think. So my thought is, if I have more vocab around this subject, then it's going to be easier for me to discuss it and think about it and form synoptic connections. I also just made a notation of the different kinds of book binding. You've got folios, quartos and octavos. This just refers to the number of folds that a piece of paper will have, and then these are gathered together into gatherings and they're stitched together. I've made this list now of things that I want to research and take some notes on, and my plan is, I think, to do 3 of these today, or maybe even 2 actually, but I've got quite a clear gap in my knowledge for these things and I just want to have more notes and more of an understanding about them. Also, they're things I find interesting. I'm going to go downstairs and get some more tea because I'm out of tea. I've got some fruit and some tea. Then daily transcription practice. I'm trying to spend at least 15-20 minutes a day doing transcription practice. So if you don't know what I mean by that, part of my degree is going to be transcribing early modern documents, and I need to be able to read them and read secretary hand, which is one of the dominant types of handwriting in this period, which does look quite different to normal written English, and it does require some training of the eye to be able to read it. So I'm trying to improve. The next thing I'm going to do is some very brief research into Sidney's Arcadia and Spencer's The Shepherd's Calendar, and just make a page on Notion for each of these really, really briefly, but I just want to better understand their influence. Then I went outside to do some reading. I read one book of Homer's The Iliad. This is the new translation by Emily Wilson. I loved her version of the Odyssey and was so excited when Norton offered to send me this. I also read some of Hamlet as well because I'm loving this book so much and I can't believe it's taken me so long to read it. Then outside I read Paris, Capital of the 19th Century, which is an essay by Walter Benjamin. I've just finalised my latest YouTube video. Oh, it's very dark. What happens when it's too bright? I'm now going to go outside and write a letter. I'm just on another walk at the moment, and the woods are so beautiful this evening, and because the air is so still and warm, there are insects everywhere. Don't get me wrong, sometimes it can be really annoying when there are insects flying around everywhere, but in the sunlight the wings just look ethereal. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the walk. I was going to go on a run today, but it's so hot that I just didn't think it was sensible. And when I got back, my mum wanted to show me this blog post that she'd written about our trip to Scotland, so I read that with her. And then I finished up with work because I was quite tired. The heat was really taking it out of me, honestly, and so I was really trying to focus my studying and productive workflow in the mornings when it wasn't so hot. So we're on Wednesday, and I did actually wake up at 5 a.m. this morning, which I'm really glad I did because I managed to get so much done this morning. Upstairs, it was light by this time, and again, I wrote my to-do list in my academic planner. The first thing I did, and this did take quite a while, was read this book on orthography and punctuation. And after finishing that, I went on another walk. Again, look at the sun, it was so beautiful, and there were also these pumpkins which I spotted, which made me so happy. Good morning, it's currently 8:30 and I've just read this excellent essay. One of the things that she mentioned, and I'd never heard of this before, but it really reminded me of Sherlock. So you know in Sherlock, he has his mind palace, you know, it's one of the most epitomous parts of the show. It looks like the producers, like Stephen Moffat and things, were drawing on early modern memory theatres. There were these books on memory and the art of memory which were published in the early modern period, and they taught people how to make mental theatres for memory theatres, that's it. They taught people how to make memory theatres for when they were giving a speech. So you'd use the physical space to give you prompts. So you'd associate like the seats with the first part and then the door with the next part, and you'd link your speech and memory of your speech to these specific objects. And it's kind of similar to the Mind Palace. And the idea of the Mind Palace, obviously Sherlock's Mind Palace is totally fictional, as in it's not mapping onto an actual palace, but still, I just thought it was cool. I did my daily transcription practice. This was a recipe for ink, like 16th century ink, and it was a list of all of the things that you'd need to make it, so I wrote that up and used my notebook to help. And then I did some more research. You know, I was saying yesterday that I wanted to fill in the gaps from that research document. So the things I researched were emblems, paper types, and punctuation, and how punctuation differed. Then here I started reading the preface to a book by Walter Pater, which is again required reading for one of my modules. And then I had a driving lesson for an hour, and when I got back I did some more research to fill out those notes. I've just got back from my driving lesson and quickly finished off that research into paper types in early modern England, which I was doing. It's very basic research. I just wanted something of an overview on it, and I'm planning on expanding on that over the course of, well, maybe this month, but obviously across the course of the term. So next I'm going to do the C course reading. I'm doing one Victorian module. It's on the aesthetic movement, and I'm so excited for it. Honestly, the reading list is amazing. It looks so exciting. I'm going to do some more reading for week 1. Walter Pater's book on the Renaissance and studies in art. So then really the rest of the morning was spent reading Then at 12:45, of course, I went and got myself some lunch, and back up in my room, I did some admin tasks. So first of all, I tidied my room and also cleaned it because it really needed a hoover, like very much needed a hoover. And I also had loads of admin tasks to do on my computer. I like to keep a long list on my desk of admin tasks I need to do, and then I'll put aside a long chunk in my timetable of the day where I'll get it all done, because otherwise I'll get distracted as I'm doing other pieces of work. I've also just written up some notes on these paintings. So I'm really hoping this is going to work. I've got all of my keywords here, and I think you can just copy them into Quizlet. Yeah, we'll see if this works. Okay, they're ready, and this is so good. Genuinely, I cannot believe that worked that well. When I think about how much time I spent making Quizlet sets when I was doing my A-levels, but then I just read a little bit more of the Pater book, but genuinely got so hot that I had to stop because I couldn't concentrate anymore. But I'm getting so hot in my room, so I'm going to take an afternoon break. I never work very well when it's hot and when it's the afternoon, and I really want to enjoy this because I'm loving the text. So I'm probably going to take about 3 hours off now, and then I will come back and just finish reading this, which is my last task of the day. Again, I didn't end up doing any set work in the afternoon because I just don't focus when it's hot, and there's no point me sitting in my room for hours on end not getting anything done. This is me at 5:30 starting on dinner, so if you didn't know, I cook dinner for my family every night, and tonight I was making a vegetable curry with green tea rice, which I've spoken about before. Green tea rice is actually really good, I would recommend. And I also always make dessert, so tonight I made some pumpkin spice cookies. And then after dinner, I made a full design brief for the undated yearly planner that we're planning to bring out with Pumpkin Productivity at the end of this year. This is in place of the dated yearly planner that we sold for the last few years. So I drew up all of the page spreads and also made a PowerPoint presentation to send to our designer. This is really exciting, genuinely so much fun. I spent about 2.5 hours doing that. And then just to finish the evening, I wrote a letter. But I really hope you enjoyed watching this video, and hope it gave you some study motivation, and I hope that you have more than just a productive week.